Hey, you wild women. Happy New Year. I will not sing for you, but I do want to say what an amazing 2025 so far. Yeah. Yeah. And I can't believe it's 2025. Now, I really hope you had a chance to listen to my last few episodes because I dive deep on creating plans and how you need to build your life according to your expectations of yourself and not fulfilling other people's demands of you, because we got to cut that crap out. If you want to live a fulfilled life according to how you want to live and feel and the things you want to see, smell, taste, touch, feel, then that decision is ultimately up to you. But now I want to talk to you about the turning your what ifs into why nots, because the biggest leap that I had last year, which was one of my biggest growth years personally, professionally, physically, was because I took all of those years of ruminating over the what ifs and I turned them into why nots. I finally said yes or I said no with all the decisions that were lined out in front of me. So one of my favorite books of 2024 was the book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. And I highly recommend you read that book. So one of the biggest regrets, actually, regret number 1 is this. So Bronnie, a download of the book is she talks about how she used to work with people that were on their deathbed. So they were in hospice. They had, days, weeks, or months left to live. And she was hired to be by these people's bedside. And over the course of years, she had tons of conversations with people that had shared their regrets. And she kind of summed them up into the 5 main regrets of the dying. Number 1 being this: they say, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Now, as women, we're kind of breaking through. We're pushing through the glass ceiling. We're pushing through the patriarchy. We're finally demanding the things that we need, that we were never allowed to even conceive or ask for because it wasn't invented. It wasn't allowed. It was illegal. Like, think back to the witch days, the witch trials, that these were just women who were helping other women deliver babies because they had the experience in using natural methods to ease the process. And the patriarchy came in and said, you are witches. You're practicing witchcraft, and we're going to burn you at the stake because a doctor can only be male. All this to say, coming back to this, is that there's a lot of stuff that we have to do as women to step up, to lead the way, to demand what we want, to command the room or command a conversation. And last year, I had to take a lot of things into my own hands to actually feel happier, healthier, wealthier, seen, heard, loved. It meant I had to start communicating my feelings a little bit more. And to some people in my life, that felt like an attack for them because they weren't used to all of this new communication coming their way. They took it personally. And I said, no, I'm stressed out, confused right now. It has nothing to do with you, but I'm short with you and I'm sorry. Yet there were people that took it personally, because as soon as you make a massive change or even a little change in your life to start living the life courageously according to what you want to do, people are going to be appalled. People are going to be insulted. They're going to play the victim. And this is your moment to shine, whether you decide to keep these people in your life or say bye-bye. So this is all, going back to this, the 1 regret of the dying, is all living a life of what if thinking. And it's the worst prison to be in. So question for you is, do you ever catch yourself living these moments? And then how are you actually trying to get away from that? How are you trying to turn your what ifs to why nots? Well, today I want to teach you some things that worked for me, some research I've done, some things that I know that have been successful for my friends that are leveling up this year. And I want to know, are you ready for it? Let's dive in. So first, we're going to talk about the hidden costs of what if thinking. Number 1 is the compound effect. So every time you say, what if, you're not just avoiding one decision, you're programming your brain for doubt. So then it becomes comfortable. So thinking about it like if you avoid $100 investment today because what if it fails, then your brain learns that doubt equals safety, right? We, like water, we take the path of least resistance. We want to stay comfortable. So we want to stay safe. So what happens if next month you're faced with a $1,000 opportunity? Your brain will automatically doubt it. A year later, when your dream client shows up, you're going to doubt that muscle is strong. You're going to talk yourself out of it before you even try. So each what if isn't just one no, it's training for a lifetime of no's. Because you doubt yourself, because you may have had a traumatic experience in the past. So why pursue it? Like maybe you had a really terrible marriage and now you're divorced and the person was a narcissistic prick. And now you think every person you ever date or be with will be that person. But that's not the truth. I mean, you know deep down that's not the truth. So we tend to make our decisions and future pace our decisions and what we're going to do with our life based on past experiences. An example would be if, actually my kid. So when Max was about 5 years old, we were at a friend's cottage and we had a bunch of barbecues set up because we were having a big barbecue. I told the kids not to play behind the line of barbecues because they were hot and they were cooking. Well, they were playing tag or hide and seek. And I told Max 3 times, do not play back there. They're hot. You could burn yourself. So in a moment of defiance, he actually put both of his hands on the back of a barbecue grill and blistered his fingers. Do you think he'll ever do that again? No. So sometimes the what ifs are important, but let's talk about survival versus people controlling you. So you have to really assess the compound effect of your no's. You have to assess the compound effect of you just maybe starting something but not going past that next threshold because it scares you, or you don't know what's on the other side of that door, or you don't know what's on the other side of that yes. And you'll just talk about it all the time in your mind, the what ifs, what if I start this event and it fails? Or what if I take that job and it's a heck of a lot more work than I thought? But you don't know until you try it. And guess what? You can always quit that job. With the event, guess what? You can always stop it. Although I wouldn't suggest you do that, right? Because we're talking about like full send, leaning in. We got to turn our what ifs to why not. Why not do it? Let's list all the pros. So my husband and I were thinking about homeschooling next year, starting September 2025, largely because we want the flexibility to travel. And I have been creating a list of all the pros and the cons. And the list of cons are 3 times the length of the list of pros. However, if you put a memory-making, happiness-creating value on those pros, each one of them versus the minute inconvenience of the cons, they actually even out. Don't tell my husband this. So we have been talking about forever taking not a year off, but just being more nomadic for a year and traveling and being with our boys and experiencing cool things while still working on the road. We keep saying, what if, what if, what if? What if it fails? What if the boys don't get along? What if they don't get the education we wanted them to get? Instead, it should be, why not? Why not do this? We can. Right now is a great time, actually. The kids aren't in high school. They have their buddies, but there's not like crazy, super deep connection with best friends. And by the way, because we travel so much, our boys make friends anywhere they go. So the simple switch from the what if to the why not is ultimately what has the power. Because you don't want to sit there when you're 80 years old, unable to do anything in retirement because you're old and your knees hurt and you can't do a back squat, thinking, gosh, we should have done that 1 year abroad. Why not? Guess what? 2-3 months in, it doesn't work out. You can always come home. Always come home. So the other thing in terms of the hidden costs is the confidence tax. So first we talked about the compound effect of your no's. You just get used to saying it. You get used to having these brilliant ideas and get excited about it, but not doing anything. You're the talk kind of people. We want to be the walk kind of people. The confidence tax is Here's what nobody's actually tells you about confidence. It's built through tiny moments of courage. It's not like one big thing. It's not like all of a sudden one day you're like, I'm going to be a professional Olympic diver and show up to the Olympics in your little bikini bathing suit and go up to the highest tower and jump off. It does not work like that. First of all, you make the decision to do it, and then you start jumping in from the side of the pool, and then you go up higher and then higher and higher. That's kind of how life works. If you're envisioning this 100-foot diving pool, I don't even know how high they are, and you're envisioning the highest one, and that's what you want to achieve. It's not like you just show up one day and you go for it. Because guess what? You could be on the 2-foot diving board, try it 10 times and think, I actually don't like this at all. I hate every single part of this. And then at least you'll know, right? So each time, so here's the thing. The what ifs, they steal those moments. The what ifs, they steal the moments of courage, of confidence, of inspiration, of hope. Each time you choose what if over why not, you're paying a confidence tax. You see that? It's like having a bank account where instead of making small deposits of courage, you're making tiny withdrawals of doubt. Over time, you're not just missing opportunities, you're actually going into a deficit. So you show up to meetings at 60%, you pitch clients at 50%, you dream at only 30%. This tax, it compounds until you're living half of your potential. The no's, the what ifs, they cannibalize the life that you want to live. The third thing is the future theft. The future theft. So the most dangerous part about what ifs is that they don't just rob your present, like right now, today. They steal from your future self. They steal from the greatness that you can become. That speaking opportunity, for example, that you turned down last year, it wasn't just about one stage. It was about 3 other organizations that were in the audience that wanted to book you, but you never showed up. It's about the client who needed to see you on the stage in order to hire you. And it was about the confidence you would have gained by saying yes to that next opportunity, to showing up to a bigger stage. If you say, I want to become a professional speaker, guess what you got to do? You got to speak on stages. And to get better, those stages got to get bigger. And there has to be more on the line. So stop saying what if and just start saying yes. The what ifs, they're time travelers. They reach into your future and they steal the possibilities that you can't even see yet. So we don't want those people in our life. So here's how to future-proof your what if thinking. First of all, and this is what worked for me, I wrote these down in my notes because I like to do a little note taking before I do my little solo episodes. Number 1 is future self-focus, meaning, will your future you thank you for this? Every time I work out, whether I was 30 or 43 years old, and whether it was a great workout or a crappy workout, I always say, the 80-year-old version of Renee is going to thank me for this day. It's going to thank me for this little workout. Because it's not about this one workout. It's about the habit of creating compound workouts over time. It's the consistency. 80-year-old me is going to thank me for it, for having a strong quad so that I can get in and out of my chair when I'm 80 years old, for going up and down stairs. It's not about having the 6-pack ab, although that's a bonus because you should have 6-pack abs. Every one of us should have 6-pack abs. I'm not passing judgment. But our bodies are designed for daily movement, exercise, for sweat, for eating well. And if you do all those things without any, underlying issues, we should all have 6-packs. I don't want to shame anybody. Please, please, please. This is not about me shaming anybody. I genuinely believe we all have the possibility of having 6-pack abs. Okay. It's there. It's underneath it all. Actually, my coach says that, we worked with me last year and I did like a super crazy 2-week detox, and I showed up for a photo shoot and my abs were popping and I go, whoa, where did these come from? He said to me, they were always there. Just like you, yours were always there. So going back to the future self-focus, the power question is this: instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, will my 2025 self thank me for taking this leap? Here's the time trick. Imagine yourself as a year from now. Are you grateful you took the risk? Or are you stuck in the same pattern? One of the things I used to ask my clients on sales calls before working with me at my PR agency is this: if we came back together after a year of working together and we're celebrating something, or on the beach clinking champagne or whatever Zevia, what are we celebrating? And this is them future focusing themselves in our relationship of what it meant to work with each other. So you can dream, like, this is what the future looks like. For me, launching the Pink Skirt Project event in Kelowna was about what was the vision I had. The vision I had was me wearing a pink skirt on stage in front of thousands of female entrepreneurs. And the first iteration of it is going to be thousands of female entrepreneurs. There'll be hundreds. Doesn't matter. It's still filling that vision. And all the things I had to do to say yes to that was to get rid of the what ifs. Like, what if it fails? If it fails, like, then I lose money. I lose money. Oh no, I lose money. I can go make money. If it fails, people are dissatisfied and everybody hates the event. Well, I know that's not going to happen. Sure, there's probably going to be some people that think it's going to be better than it really is, 100%, because I'm setting those expectations high. But that's on them. And if they want a refund, well, so be it. That's the thing, is we overthink the worst case scenario so much that instead of saying, why not? We're like, oh, well, what if? Or we come up with all these reasons why we shouldn't do it. So here's the thing I want you to do about the future mirror. So every decision you make today is a gift or a burden to your future self. So look in the mirror and ask yourself this, literally. Go up to a mirror right now, if you can. Look in the mirror and say, will this 2025 version of myself thank me for this moment? Or will they thank me for being comfortable and complacent and staying exactly where I am? Probably not. So the next thing is the fear to fuel flip. And what I mean by this is the reframe, is converting the what if it fails to what if it works. It's the possibility path. It's what if this event changes one person's life? What if it leads to bigger opportunities? Like this podcast. There have been so many times I'm like, I'm done. Peace out. We're good. We're coming up 5 years, thousands of dollars in, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of hours into this podcast. Made it to the top 1% in the world, but there's still a long way I can go. I'm good. However, every single time I say that, I'm good, I'm done, is the day I get a DM on Instagram, or 2 or 3 of people saying this thing you said or that guest you had an incredible impact on my life. And here's how it changed it. And I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me the sign and the guidance I needed to keep going. So the next thing is the energy shift, which is fear and excitement. They feel the same in your body, right? You get, someone's scared. It's like your heart is pounding. Or you get super excited. You're at Taylor Swift's concert and she's about to come on stage, and then she comes out on stage and everyone's screaming. That physiological reaction is the same thing. It's all about how you label it. So why don't we take that fear and turn it into excitement? So I'm not talking about like almost getting hit by a car kind of scared. I'm talking about these times when you should be excited, but you're fearful instead. Let's flip that. So the next thing is the action over analysis. Here's the 3-second rule. If you wait longer than 3 seconds to make a decision, your brain will talk you out of it. It has to be an intuitive feeling from the gut. As we call this in our family, the F yeah decisions for everything that we do. If an opportunity presented itself, hey, Renee, do you want to go to Japan for 4 days with our friends, the Sabingas? Here's what we're going to do. And let me know. If it feels like, oh my God, yes, let's do it, then it's probably a yes. But if you sit for more than 3 seconds, your brain's going to be like, who's going to watch the kids? Am I going to be jet lagged? How long is the flight? What are we going to do when we get there? What happens if I don't like the sushi? What if it's too cold and we give ourselves the space to overthink. We'll talk ourselves out of it every single time. So sometimes we do need to sleep on things, but let me tell you, we need to make decisions faster, especially as women. We are the worst and slowest decision makers. So let's go. There's the imperfect start. As we know, done is better than perfect, but perfect is also the enemy of started. Yeah. Like my website for the event, it's not perfect. The website for myself, reneewarren.com, is not perfect. Every day I look at it, I'm like, ugh. My social media is not perfect. But you know what? There's movement. I take action. I'm doing stuff and I'm learning. This is the momentum method. It's about small actions that create clarity. It's about big plans that create paralysis. You need to take your big ideas, your big plans, and make them smaller, and then work through the process from there. And finally, second last is the reality check. Most regrets come from not trying and rarely from trying. The regrets come from not doing the thing and not from doing it. For me, it's like I talked about this event forever, the Pink Skirt Project, and I did iterations of it. We were actually potentially working with a production company out of Toronto to produce a miniseries or a documentary through through Netflix or Prime to create a show or a documentary. And it's not exactly the vision I had for it. However, it was still action. And for me, it was about that reality check of actually doing. So for me, in actually creating the Pink Skirt Project, I needed to find the ultimate location. I already knew the venue I wanted. And I worked with Dan's assistant and looked at my calendar to create the perfect date for it. It was a one-day event. So I went to the venue and I was like, I want to do my event here. And I need to know if this date's available and how much is the deposit. And they're like, yep, it's free. Let me know what you want. And here is the agreement. And here's your deposit. And I knew the moment that I signed that agreement, paid the deposit, it was going to happen. Now, I can always get my deposit back and I can always say, because we have plenty of time, that I'm not doing the event. But for me, that was like the North Star of me getting, like, we have the space, we have the place, it's locked in, let's go. Now the question was, how many people? So I asked her, theater style seating. How many people can you sit in this room? And she said 350. And I thought, perfect. We're going to have 300 ticket sales because the extra 50 will be the volunteers and speakers and whatnot. 300 ticket sales is the goal. I'm going to sell it out. I don't know how. I've never done it before, but I don't think I need to know how. I'm going to figure it out, just like I figured out running a PR agency, having never done PR a day in my life. Because the why not for me was so much stronger than the what if. And the failure flip is understanding that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the part of it. You cannot be successful without failures. Failures are like the strongest foundation of lessons learned because you will very, very clearly remember how not to do something when you fail at it. So finally, it's the legacy lens. Is the last part of the framework, the legacy lens. Living as if you're writing your story in real time. You know, someone asked me, hey, Renee, are you going to write another book? And I said to them, yes. And they're like, what is it about? And I said, with conviction, I don't know yet because I feel like I'm living the experiences or have not yet lived the experience that my book is going to be about. It's in me. I know. I just don't know what it is because I haven't had time to think about it, but also it hasn't come to me yet. So the legacy lens, here's the story question. If your life was a book, would anyone want to read it? Right? When my husband and I meet weekly, every Monday at lunch, we reflect on our 3 wins for the week. And there are weeks that are just busy. You're just plowing through the to-dos, stuff's getting done. There's nothing really amazing happen. Then there are weeks when it's like, bam, 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 all these things really cool happen. You're like, what? Wow, holy crap. It's so cool rejoicing on those things. I would have never achieved those things had I didn't say yes to them, right? Yes, because it was a week of why nots. So the impact ripple is how one bold move creates waves of possibility for others, right? For me, it's like my number one guest I wanted to have on my podcast was Gabrielle Reese because I was a huge fan in high school and I was so nervous to talk to her. Finally reached out and she said yes right away. And I thought, okay, wait, she didn't hesitate. She didn't ask any questions. She said, yeah, here's my assistant. Yes. I was like, okay, so then it made it so much easier for me to ask the next person on my list and the next person. And yes, I got some no's or not no's, but I don't care because some of those not no's or no's eventually became a yes. And not only a yes, they became friends. So if you have conviction, in what it is you're doing, you're in alignment with your purpose, and you're actually doing the work you want to do, some of these things are tough, but they're not going to suck you dry. Now, the legacy log is, are you living your story or are you watching it pass by like a ship sailing in the night? Are you sitting on the beach watching your future, your dreams pass by you in the night? Don't let that happen. This year is really about making your dreams come true, turning those what ifs to why nots, and stop being such a suck and sitting on the sidelines. Break up with the person you know you need to break up with. Take that job that you know you want to take. Stop work at 3 p.m. so you can pick up your kids at school. Create your own rules. Rules are meant to be broken and they're meant to be created. Some of them are meant to be bent. Put up your boundaries, but create your own story. So let me bring this full circle now. Remember how we started with that quote about life's biggest regret, living someone else's life instead of your own? Well, here's what I know for sure. That every single time you flip a what if into a why not, you're choosing your own life. You're choosing your future self. You're choosing and creating your legacy. So here's the challenge for you this week. Take one what if that's been holding you back and run it through this framework. Start with your future self and end with your legacy. Until next time, ladies, peace out.